Welcome to the third episode of Let's Be Real. In this series, I am sharing perspectives of how to think about your healing process so as to simplify your inner, emotional, and regular life experience of it. Good morning. I'm super excited. Today we are talking about self-sabotage, self-sab. And the question I'm going to ask you is it though? And I have all kinds of papers made up for today. I'm pretty excited about it. So let's take a couple breaths and get settled. How's everybody doing today? So I do love crowd interaction. If you have something that is relevant to the topic that you would like to toss out, please do. So if you're just joining, what we're looking at today is self-sabotage, and I'm asking, is it though? And I'm going to try to do this in under 10 minutes. So, what is self-sabotage? It's generally when we perceive that we are not throwing our energy or putting our energy where our goal is. I have a lake at the bottom, and so instead of throwing these balls or moving these balls over toward the goal, and the balls represent action, resources, whatever, you kind of toss them off into the wild. And sure, there are varying degrees of self-sabotage. Sometimes what you're doing is knocking off all the progress you have at the goal into the water. Everybody with me so far? And what I like about this drawing, outside of the way that the balls are stacked, is that let's say you don't knock them all off at the goal line. That means that if you do something screwy or weird with one of these, and one of these is a decision point, this is a dinner, this is a date, this is a something, it's not everything. You still have things over there. And I think it's super helpful to remember when I'm working with somebody, they generally have a recency bias that leans towards whatever thought pattern they're trying to put down. And so if their thought pattern is like, I never do what I'm supposed to do, then when they screw up and don't put one of their choices in alignment with their goal, they forget they had done a bunch of other stuff towards that, and it still exists. All of it still exists, whether you're moving actual physical material, good morning, woo, party, or it's just the reps of making new choices. All that progress is still there, homie. It's still there. But let's say that you're putting a lot of them in the river. And so if you guys are just joining, what I'm talking about today is self-sabotage. And I'm saying, is it though? And I'm using these balls to represent decision points and or resources. And I'm basically calling self-sabotage, the phenomenon where you don't put those things in alignment with what you truly want or what you know is good for you. And you either, you somehow misplace them or throw them in this river. What if every decision point you make, every experience that you have that isn't in alignment with your goal strengthens your desire for it and your resolve? Is it a wasted, wrong, sabotageable effort there? If you are increasing your desire, your inner strength, your inner will to enjoy, was it a lost ball? Maybe then there's a pipe under the lake and it kind of puts them back behind the star. And why am I suggesting that you allow so much grace in this process? Because the opposite does not work. If you beat the shit out of yourself about it, that is the primary issue. That's why they're not going there in the first place. Because what if it's not that you aren't putting them in that direction? What if there's a force field around the star that says, or the goal, I don't deserve? What about that? And what if the way to get more of your resources and choices aligned with it was to actually magnetize the star by allowing yourself to love yourself? And how do you do that? You have a kind inner dialogue. What is a kind inner dialogue? Well, if you're new, just let it be silence. You don't have to write love letters to make what you think was not okay. You can just not talk about it to yourself and not talk about it to other people. If you're just joining today, we are talking about self-sabotage, and my question for the people is it though? And when your inner dialogue is mean or excessive about what you perceive as self-sabotage, you put yourself in this jungle of, it's like all of your explanations, all of your insecurities, all of your reasons why you can't or it won't. And if you see the little guy in the jungle, I zoomed in on his face, he's not happy. And those are supposed to be Z's, but I forgot to write them backward. And he's low energy because in the jungle, man, it looks like you'll never get out. So if you're, I'll recap again. So what we're looking at today is self-sabotage. And I'm asking or presenting, thank you, it's my mama's. I'm presenting this as a tool that isn't the tool where you interrupt the judgment of self-sabotage. And self-sabotage actually is downstream from a belief that you don't deserve, you're not worthy, and you don't love yourself. And so when you beat the shit out of yourself about misplaced decisions or the balls that you knocked into the water, what you're actually doing is strengthening the force field of like, I'll never get there. What if instead you were nice to you about it and worked on patterning the underlying magnetism of the object, which is, I love myself, this is okay. And I shared that if you allow yourself to consider that no matter how many times you knock it over or fucks it up, you are ultimately strengthening your resolve to allow yourself the peace and joy of getting where you're trying to go. And the way that you do that, the way that you allow the behavior you think is self-sabotage. So let's say you spent more than you meant to, you ate more than you meant to, you said more, you didn't stand up for yourself. Rather than come in here and start overthinking it or rehearsing dialogue or saying how you're never going to do it again, just be quiet. Shh. Drop it. You don't need to talk about it. In that move, you are allowing yourself to love yourself. There is so much nuance in everything. And so when I'm simplifying this and saying like, just be quiet, that doesn't mean like if you knocked actually something over or you were mean, you don't pick it up or you don't apologize. It just means that your inner dialogue is as simple and quiet as possible, which means you just let it be. If you, let's say that you meant to go to the gym, you meant to have more money than you do, and you don't, rather than fixate on that and start to blow it out into all of these stories, all of this information, creating this jungle of lostness and self-pity and self-whatever, just let it be. Say, okay, I made that choice. And now I'm here. So here is where it's at. All right, I think that's my presentation for today. Does anybody, I think I saw a question up there. And please keep in mind, like these technical drawings are the result of almost 10 years helping people achieve things that before they could not or would not do. So I'm not just drawing, like this is not just from the hip, this is from thousands of hours with people. This is the simplest way to change your behavior, not even fucksing with you. This is the key that will unlock you. When you put down the energy storm, you stop creating the hurricane of thoughts and feelings about how messed up you are and how, anytime that you are being cruel to yourself, you're just reinforcing the underlying issue, which again is like this demagnetizing of what you want, and you're putting it further and further away. If you didn't do that, maybe it wouldn't be so hard. And I think this positive reframe where it's saying like, hey, it's okay that you messed it up. Hey, it's okay you made that choice, because it, again, like I cannot tell you how many times I've had to pick my shit up and stand up again. I build real pretty, towers over here, and then I'd knock them off. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Nice to see you here. And it just, why stop? If it's something that you really want, does it serve you to sit down in the jungle? There's a book called The Phantom Toll Booth, and it's by Norton Juster. It's a young adult book. Y'all know I read a lot of those. And it creates literal representations of different psychological experiences. And there's one, this guy, Milo, goes on a journey in a fantastical world. And one of the places he gets lost is expectations. He jumped to the island and he gets stuck there. And another place he gets lost is the doldrums. There is no energy here. You will not be able to push yourself into this. You have to kind of lift out of the jungle to be able to even find these and to want to do it. All right, that concludes my presentation for today. Let me see, I think I saw a question up here. I have a problem sticking to my nutrition plan. I keep eating naughty things. Girl, yes. I promise. That's a bold statement for me to promise, but I know you and I know me, and this works. When it comes to nutrition, what's underneath, there is an emotional unrest whenever we are eating in ways that we don't really mean to. If you are mean to yourself, you agitate the unrest. If you are kind to yourself, you make space to be with it. The kinder that you can be about your errors, the less that you will make. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. So today we talked about self-sabotage, and I said, is it though? And we looked at what we're talking about. It's really moving resources or decisions into alignment with your goal. And when you don't do that, to appreciate the strength and desire that you have from not. Skim off the best of every bad thing and let the rest drain out. I've spent a lot of time exploring the value of the darker sides of things. There's not that much there, which means that you don't really need to go into or under all the stuff that's there. You can just allow yourself the simplicity of dropping the conversation. Don't explain that you made that choice because your dad was mean. That puts you in the weeds. Don't explain that choice because they did this and you have a personality that's that. Or just shh. All right, that is the third episode of Let's Be Real, where I offer perspectives to simplify your process of healing. And what is healing? Again, we are taking you to the present in your power, which means you are not in your head and you are freely expressing as yourself. The first two episodes are on youtube.com/The Shaylee Show. Please subscribe, share, do stuff. If you interact with the content and it is helpful for you, please do stuff with it. I am, alas, intentional about building something with what I'm doing that is a little bit bigger, and I would love the support of my peeps out there. My primary objective is to offer as much impactful content as possible for free, because this goes out to my sister, who didn't have the resources to get the help that she needed. And like, no, it shouldn't be that way. So I'm gonna do my best to change the landscape, and I need your help to do that. Okay, if you have any topic requests, I also have, I don't know, maybe Applied Spirituality is over now, but I am running concurrently another morning series called We're All Here Together, and I think it'll have a component of movement and breathing, and I'm going to show up with blank paper, and we'll just kind of chat about whatever's there. All right, love you guys. Have a great day.